Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.6. Okay, I say that a lot. I know most of you all know all this stuff just by looking at the map, but I have, I guess, hopes someday that we'll get some new people in that won't even recognize the game, but will go, what is this? And want to watch and find and learn and play and all that good stuff. In fact, mentioning all that, not so much if you just found the channel, though of course I'd like to hear from you in that respect too, but I'd really love to hear a story of someone finding through the channel, finding Hearts of Iron and then deciding that they want to play it and it's a really good game or whatever. That'd be really cool to hear about. I'm trying to bomb here to mess with these guys. They got many aircraft guns, but got the mountain division. This is a mountainous province. Not maybe so snowy, but tactical air command. Okay, well, ground organization, TAC penalty. Let's do that. And Operation Barbarossa. Armunch Befel? Okay. Sometimes I read, not just because I learned the word in German, but sometimes German is just close enough to English. Like MIT is close enough to middle. So I know it's Army Group Center, as it's always been called in English for me. It's always called Army Group Center. But just sort of learned that, and that sort of works. Now let's get these guys out of here. They don't have enough supply anyways, and hopefully their bombing operation helped. But sometimes the German is just so, I don't know, foreign to me that I don't have a clue. It just brings to mind because I was also looking at the thread over on the Black Ice forum, and someone posting about GGA and wondering about ship names, particularly things like shift for, I guess, what, armed or armored or something ship, and they were having real trouble. And I know my friend Revolver Held has really done a really good job, and I got rid of some of the stuff myself, on making the German the mod more German immersive, as your German or graphical augmentation. It really does that, but in some ways it goes, you gotta realize it can go a little bit too far. And this is just things I have to think about when I'm making events and things, because you want the German look and feel to things. You got to remember, most Americans, at least shall we say white America, and I would say most black America too, speak only one language. And the reason I say it is because most Hispanics also speak Spanish, but they only speak English. Asian Americans often will speak, whether it's Vietnamese or Chinese or whatever also. But most Americans, now obviously we have lots of immigrants, but most native-born Americans only speak English. So there is that bit of a limitation, but Also, you got to remember, and this is one thing that was brought home to me early on, is in making Third Reich events, is that there are a lot of people out there that understand a functional amount of English to play this, because no one's translated this into Finnish or Portuguese, Black Ice or Third Reich events or whatever. There are some, I don't know exactly all the languages they've translated Hearts of Iron into, but I'm talking the mods. But the Portuguese or Finnish speaker speaks a functional amount of English, to excellent to functional, whatever the level, it doesn't matter. And if you start throwing in too much German in on it, that just confuses things even more. And so it's a balance you gotta, because like words like Reich, Kampfgruppe, yeah, if you're sort of a World War II history nut, you got that. And Panzer, yeah, you know what Panzer is. Just that sort of line that's right on that balance there that you got to deal with. Okay, Railroad Network Advanced. Research has advanced on improving our railroad network. Nope, back here. So we're going to stop that. Now, yeah, let's do that. It looks like we also got something else. It's too far advanced now. Artillery carriage designs, that would likely to be doing it. We were sort of pushing ahead anyways. Okay, which now opens up this. We'll do that one as well. And this is railway level. We're going to pay the heavy IC toll. I want to get that for okay. Get these liners out of here, rebase them back up to here. So they're no longer taking up supply from there. No, I still have the local transports. As soon as I can get this. Good. Okay, great. Okay, we enforced conquer. Great. We won the Battle of Sana. Oh. Load up. Rebase. So we get entirely out from under the Where's the 14th Army? Okay, it's still there, so we gotta get it closer or something to properly keep Rommel in good command and control. Let's also move these guys back up to Cairo. Then we go there. And we might be running rare materials now because I don't think I can properly control my shipping lanes. Yes, the British are coming after me, but Yes, and we beat them there with Rommel's super reinforced core. And we also got small caliber tank cannon and MGs. Great, great, great. I think that, yes, opens up medium armor types. Great. I think we need that. Medium armor, medium velocity gun, which we're already researching. Okay. These guys we're going to detach. Not that they're not cool and not of use. They are, but detach these guys now. Come on, detach. Detach. There we go. These temporarily. I want to. Okay, he's attached. He should be attached. And he should be attached. He already was. That's going to be just fine, right, Rommel? Well, I thought they changed that. They didn't. Oh no, it's there. It's a good bird shaker. Yeah. See, he should be a mountain warrior. So he should command mountain troops very well. I think if it wouldn't have been for Hitler's personal intervention, because that's my understanding of it, Hitler would have been given a mountain division. At least that's my guess. I'm just saying that simply because, hey, he wrote a book about mountain warfare called Infantry Attacks. I mean, if you've read the thing, he, you know, most of it was fought in the mountains, and he did, at least according to himself, he did a brilliant job. He did win, of course, the Pour le Mérite, the Blue Max, whatever you want to call it. So he won that, so that, you know, probably does mean he did a good job. And it is a good book for small unit tactics kind of thing, if you ever want to learn those. And of course, if you learn that, you can learn, if you understand that, you can apply it to greater lessons. And if you also, another great book to understand things is Gori no Sho, the Book of Five Rings, by Miyato Musashi. It's all about sword fighting, and that's all it's about, sword fighting. But if you understand it, it applies to Hearts of Iron and other strategy stuff. So you can, you know, if you know how it works, you understand the sort of lessons that he's teaching in there. Because it's not about, you know, swing down from the right to the left and then back up or something. It doesn't mention. It's all about sort of the mindset of fighting. So, recommend Gori no Sho. Okay, new industrial zone, 5% ICs, IC efficiency, supplies up, but it costs more metal, rare materials, and energy. That I fully agree with. And yeah, manpower too. More industry, less manpower. Because, okay. Next invasion is going to be right out here. Okay, I think we're going to sneak the Bismarck and the Tirpitz into the Mediterranean here. Let's just call it that they did a sort of a somehow snuck out one dark and foggy night and got out there and somehow either got past Gibraltar or, as of course we now have the Red Sea open, it total, in my opinion, other than the time it would take, they could easily get there if the Red Sea is not all filled with We're going to put it under command of. Yet to get any of the real Mediterranean HQs yet for the Navy. We will be getting some. Okay, well, OCEC, just put them under somebody. Because obviously they did sneak out, or the Tirpitz went up here and hung out mostly, just hung out. But Bismarck got out, and got out. I would say got out successfully. It was leaking some oil, and so it wanted to get back in to do some repairs. But I could have made it around to the Indian Ocean. I mean, hell, the Grasse Bay, was running all over this place down here. And if you have an eventual okay, we're getting some good basic. I'm just seeing where we're sinking some stuff. Not a lot, some of the stuff, but as long as they're not being pounded too hard, I don't really care too much. Of course, if I knew that just sending it to a different sector would... Is this a... that's a... Oh, the little line. Okay, it's not that wavy line. So we're going to put this into 126 in Bordeaux. There we go. I lost one of the naval bomber there. And he had made it back to base. This one was gutted even pretty bad, much more than this. They repaired themselves somewhat. But I think having the heavy fighter along, I'm guessing they just got too close up in here for fighter control. But maybe they just hit the ships a little too hard. Maybe I should make sure they operate a little less aggressive. I don't need them dying just to disrupt a big stack of battleships moving by. I actually thought it would sink a battleship. That'd be worth a lot or two. Okay, motorized divisions. Let's put in here. Okay. Let's put a nice aggressive but non-panzer leader. I mean, because it's really just a sort of a combined arms trait, panzer leader. I just like panzer leader, so I went back to the original. Okay, von Roman. But we limited number of panzer leaders, and that has the most, shall we say, the most combined armish types is when you actually have the panzers. Okay, what I want to do here is click, and add that. This one particularly, I wanted to do the semi-motorized, just because that heavy armor is slow enough anyways. So giving it semi-motorized just doesn't really slow it down at all, I don't think. And here, this armor isn't so hot, so anyways, and I didn't want to, here, take the cost of putting a fully motorized regiment. Okay, they both have yeah, because he has a, since that's actually a support unit, not a mainline unit, it shows up down there. Okay, they both have headquarters. So let's move these guys. Oh, I haven't. Oh, I found out the problem with this, and I'm going to correct it soon. The black thing. It's like the thing is spelled Nouvion with an O-N at the end of it. I think for the graphics or something, but it's pointing to Nouvien, E-N. So that's how, and there's going to be one other unit that's bad unless I get it fixed. So we'll put you up there, and I will put You over here. We're going to keep these guys along with some of these other reserve armor type units here on the west front, and just say these both need headquarters, I think. The hell with sending these guys. It's so worth putting the headquarters to get that combined arms bonus. So am I producing a couple of headquarters here? I don't think I have any reserve, no. No, I don't think I am. Well, I got a massive stack of cool headquarters up here. You know, so that's a pretty massive stack. I might get through them all. And of course we have this stack that's... Oh, I didn't do all that. Not as big, but another stack of them, so... Yeah, let's do these two and send them over there. Instead of building the headquarters, I've got better things to do for the ICs, I guess. So, yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, this isn't, well, no, not those, that'd be boring stuff, but it's not like this. It'd be as exciting as other things. You're here to keep you from invading. Warrior. Okay. Well, we've got high popularity, no longer very high popularity from... Okay. British Flyers. This is again from... hello? Michelle of the Resistance. That is her. Orders Renee to hide RAF flight lieutenants Fairfax and Carstairs until she can help them escape back to England. They must hide in many strange places around the cafe and often dress as onion sellers so that your Germans think them locals. Many pilots are escaping back to England. Okay. One of the sort of ongoing jokes is everybody in the series speaks English. You know, because it's an English show. So they all speak English. But the French, or the actors playing French speakers speak English with bad French accents. Okay? And the two English pilots, they're dressed as onion sellers instead of RAF uniforms, speak with sort of overdone English accents that are sort of comical. And then the Germans, slight Germanish accent, but no one ever the French and the Germans always seem to understand each other, but no one understands the English pilots really, except for Michelle of the Resistance. She can put on an English accent, which is her speaking English, so that's sort of yeah, nice say, Carstairs. Okay, don't waste coal. I've been waiting for these again because we have 4.4. We lose 2 points of descent there. Capture British supply depots in Tel Aviv. The Deutsche Africa Corps sees the supply depots as spoils of battle. Well, cool. Gain 200 supplies or 2,000 or 1,000. Well, that's cool. I like that event. That's really cool. Especially since, of course, the African Corps never did that because they never made it to Tel Aviv, but I like that. That's nice. And supply depots in Romani, which is down here. Well, cool. I like that. Cairo. Ooh, even more supplies. Possibility. Like that. Port Said here. Okay, I guess we sort of all took... Is it once or something? I don't know. Capture British supply depots in El Alamein. Okay. Now these may have also been a situation, I'm going to guess here since they're all happening right now, all at the same time. They may have had a date on or after June or something, plus owning the province, you know, the Axis owning the province. So that would mean, is why when we took them earlier, it was just too early if they had a date attached. I haven't looked at the events. I'm not even sure who made them. You know, what mod. I'm guessing Black Ice, but I don't know. And captured British supply in Morrison Ruth. It's back a long time ago. So that was a long time ago. So this has got to be like a 1941 June or something later. Okay, VC trucks for the Africa Corps. Between May 27th and 28th, 1941, Admiral Darlan signed a series of Franco-German protocols regarding the future collaboration between the two countries. Under the terms of the agreement, the French government confirmed arrangements to deliver 2,000 trucks to the Africa Corps. Acquire trucks to the Africa Corps. Okay, supply. Okay, so this Libya region we get supply throughput better. Well, that's nice, but I'm not going to use it at the moment. I don't want to spend the supplies. We are comfortably in the green, but obviously we just got lots of supplies boosted around, which will either go to units or get bounced back, and that's part of the problem. They go, no, send it back to Berlin, we don't need it. No, send it forward to the front, we need it over there. We've got another division. They're not going to have much of an offensive force when we're done attacking us. It looks like we're going to mess these guys up pretty badly. I would be building an airbase here, but I'm just going to wait till we get there. Okay. Well, now that we got that, let's attack into here. You supply or support the attack. Let's just move that along here. Okay. Get another Becker event. Okay, there was a huge quantity of Allied military vehicles throughout France in various states and conditions. Number of French armored vehicles damage had already been in use, either as training vehicles or sent abroad to various units. Okay. Not that giving it to Romania, Hungary, and Italy is either unhistorical, partially because like Romania particularly imported a bunch of R-35 tanks and other things, but I think Hungary may have too, so that they were already using some of those supplies. But since the AI for them sucks so bad, I want them. So yeah, that's the bad thing. Okay, yes. So we want the... I think maybe that's one of the events I was... Ah, yes, here we are. He's sort of been waiting for these. I knew they were coming. Or I thought they were. Things change, but even more panzers than the earlier ones. Light armor. Light armor. Yeah, these are going to be our 35s and whatnot. Okay, MBH Serbian. Okay, that's fine. Good. That will help because we've been having lots and lots of problems here. Okay, let's see. Who can we get to be down here? Do we have a nice sucky commander? Nobody a very high rank. It's 0. But in my opinion, very few German proper officers should be 0. Unless you know that they're bad. Ground officers. One of the reasons they put a lot of these guys as 0 is I mean, obviously, the big reason is that they are not army officers, though some of the Luftwaffe guys, like famously Kesselring and slightly less famously Walter Weber, are both former ground reasonably high-ranking officers, World War I vet types that knew the job of ground combat well enough that they're at least not ones or zeros. But part of it is just so that, because sometimes they have some good stats like supply stuff, and if you start sticking them in charge of ground units, if you gave them lots of stats, you'd be using them as, or the AI would be wanting to use them as ground operation. The sort of little bit problem is some of the, if it was just doing the sort of different bonuses at different ranks, it would be a little different. No, this old guy here. No, he's no, because he's cold weather. We can put him up north. Reduce some of the cold weather effects. This guy here. There we go. Let's see who we can attach him to. No. Okay, we'll attach him straight to there, I think. And Serbian. We'll just give this again a sucky general. That's Albert Bormann. You probably know the name Bormann, Martin Bormann. That's his brother, Albert Bormann, who was an NSKK officer. Yeah. Okay, let's look at our revolt risk. Okay, you go up here. So eventually we'll get rid of our good unit up there. And then here, you're over in... Why are you over in Croatia? Volksdeutschments. German folk. Okay, maybe they were recruited over there. No, I don't specifically know. I do have a an occupation force that I improved for here. This guy here. This guy here. Notice these guy and this guy here does not have the German army officer, and this guy don't have this German army officer because these guys weren't. I don't know. Yeah, these guys weren't. And this guy wasn't. These are all mostly, especially I think this guy is fairly old. He's I think some of them were Russian Civil War veterans. Others were children of Russian Civil War veterans. Then some of them had been in the Yugoslav army, but these are the Russian Civil War losers that were settled in Yugoslavia that will. Well, it's fired via a. I just have changed the OOB that fires a black ice event. And this is one of the things. I do have Mikhail. I don't know. Hi, Mikhail, if you're watching. Tweeting a bunch of good stuff to me that I will make good events someday for Russia. But one of the things that convinced me early on to not want to make a Russian mod. Again, if I have enough material, I'm not against the idea of making a Russian / Soviet / whatever mod. It's just trying to find these guys was next to impossible. And I don't know if you can tell, some of these guys, I mean, obviously they're sort of supposed to be generals. But a lot of these guys are just lieutenants or captains or whatever, but because that's all I could find. So I wanted to have a name and a photo, not just a generic officer's photo, because I found a bunch of those, and I found a bunch of names, but I couldn't find any of their photos. And my hardest problem, and I finally found some of these guys, is when I found the Russian or Serbian Cyrillic version of their name, and was able to Google that. And some of the problems was some of these guys that I was looking for had multiple different spellings in the Latin alphabet. So some of that stuff is just a real pain in the ass trying to research. We're not going to use Clink, at least not for a non-postal officer. Okay, you can. This guy can do that. Well, let's move him over to here. It's sort of bad. hold this. That'll help out. That'll help out. Let's move you, because you're moving north, so let's move you a little bit further south. Hopefully now I can get all these guys. Yeah, we'll throw this here, got police there. So it's just that Cyrillic stuff just makes it hard to do research. And even when you get one Latin spelling of the guy's name, and then start to search on that, and missing a lot of stuff. You know, and it could be Latin spelling of a town, of a whatever else. It's just hard to think. Okay, Michelle of the Resistance. Especially back then on British television for the comedy, people had taglines that they would say like once per show and that kind of thing. And so Michelle of the Resistance said would basically start and everything. I will say this only once. And then whatever it was, and then someone asked to repeat it, and she'd get upset, but repeat it, and whatever else. So that's Michelle of the Resistance, of course, and that's the French Resistance flag. That's Edith, Renee's wife. You will help us, or we will kill you for collaborating with the Nazis. That's sort of because he sells stuff, you know, food and whatnot to the Nazis who are in the town. This puts Renee in many dangerous situations, with all the Germans in and out of his cafe. Okay. So. Wilhelm II, the last Kaiser of the German Empire, passes away today. Okay, so we lose him. Ooh, wow, that gives us till October. Daily Descent, National Unity, okay. But here, at least, we will lower this. Captured British supply in Alexandria, we're good. Flieger Führer Africa. Okay, thought we already had this. Certainly looks like we already have that, so don't know why that I didn't trigger that one manually. I know. Like I got to double because I got impatient and triggered this manually, then it happened. Okay. We can't do the battleship, of course. Where's my video? I don't need this, so I'm going to let him go land with it. Next time I move him via the sea, it'll be faster. But here, okay. Well, this will be faster too, so let's just go and pick up these guys here. Oh, we need some too, but that's because of that until we got over the grieving effects of losing the Kaiser. Okay, oh, I forget who it was. Sorry. Recently posted, actually I think in the previous German, he recently posted, but in the previous German series when I talked about the wood gasifiers, that the British households would also, I guess, in their sort of coal gas or town gas, they would, that burning it, they would have a bag on the roof, you know, to collect the gas coming off of it, burning it, and then somehow you collect that gas and use it either to reburn stuff in the house or to use it in trucks, I gathered from his brief comment. I didn't know that they'd set stuff up at home to do that too. Okay, Gustav work, Waffenwerk, Schul, Ringhofer. Tetra. This is an ad for Gustloff. This is for Ringhofer Tatra, which is a subgroup of Tatra. Work AG, which obviously they make the trucks. I don't know if obviously they make the trucks, Tatra, but the subgroup makes these. This is an ad for these things that you could stick on a truck, and yeah, I don't know, maybe that's part of it. Can't really see too well from the image, or what just is added to the truck to make gas generation. Here's a photo of it attached to tractor, to a motorcycle with sidecar. That's just a detailed example if you could zoom in. So along with companies build wood gasifier systems to be added to commercial, agricultural, and civil vehicles. In Germany alone, around 500,000 producer gas vehicles were used in 1945. So starting around this time, 40, 41, because they basically didn't function, not that they didn't know about it, but it didn't exist as a thing that people used before the war. And they introduced, as time went on, they introduced greater and greater restrictions on civil gasoline. So it takes a while to happen. So it's really sort of around 41 here that this really starts to come in, that for commercial, agricultural, and civil, because if you know, I don't know, this motorcycle with sidecar, I don't think that's is trying to represent a military thing. That's just a civil thing. But if you have a civil vehicle, you know, an automobile, you know, a family car, nothing, you know, there is a rubber shortage, so you might not get a lot of, you know, spare tires if you wear them out. Obviously they'd be, well, they used to do a lot of inner tubes in tires, which don't do so much now, and I don't know what they were doing then so much in Germany, but in Germany, and so it may be hard to get tires, but if you wanted to convert your vehicle over to wood gasifiers, you can drive it as much as you want, you know, around town, around wherever, and, you know, instead of walking, taking public transportation, riding a bike, whatever it might be, you can drive around in your car if you want, just as, you know, a nice family car or farm vehicle or a bread delivery truck around town, whatever it might be. This is all kinds of things. So by the time you get to 45, the end of the war there, that year, there's 500,000 vehicles in Germany alone are wood gasifier vehicles. Now, this is, I found, you know, ads for Gustloff work, which is the armaments manufacturer, Gustloff. It's basically a German government-owned factory or conglomerate, because it comes out of the, so I talked about this earlier, comes out of the, initially the first company. It becomes a multiple city, multiple factory, big conglomerate, but it starts out as the Simpson arms company that was Jewish owned and was confiscated. So I think they were also sticking under the umbrella other confiscated Jewish companies, as well as just other confiscated companies, as well as new built company, you know, new built factories or whatever under it. And obviously, it worked alongside the 5-year program, but was not part of Hermann Göring Werk, the Hermann Göring Work Corporation, or whatever you want to call it. So it's a different company, but doing similar sorts of things. But so they also produced for sale as a profitable item the gas generation conversions for trucks and other vehicles. So you could get that to get away from rationing. And in Germany, there's a lot of wood. I know that this was also used in France, in occupied and unoccupied, I presume France to a large degree, and very heavily used up in Finland. I do know now they have lots and lots of woods up there, so a lot of them are fairly small, easy to chop down. A lot of it looks too small to be anything but firewood to me, the whole trees, meaning you can't get good planks out of it. At least that's what it looks like. Maybe there's huge forests of thick trees or something, but just from the different shots. And this was also very heavily used in Britain. Britain is another fairly wooded country that has a good amount of wood available, and as was pointed out, from coal gas off burnings that they would collect on the roof of the house and then somehow put into the tank, the gas tank, and gas tank as in not gasoline tank, but as in a gas instead of a liquid tank, to burn in some of these as well. Now, if you think I made an event for, I think I made an event for Finland. I think I did. I know I made an event for England, though it has this same image, because I made this for people playing Germany. But England either is also getting this event or will. So this, what I decided to do was, and it's a percentage thing because it starts out now, and I get, as you know, potentially we continue to expand fuel and whatnot. So here, this will be a 10% boost to fuel, mainly that it's taking it away from you're not needing it on the home front. Again, like I said, the civil vehicles, you know, I don't know how many Volkswagen Beetles that people really had, but there were other, you know, you could convert your fancy Mercedes if you wanted to, but there were also a lot of other cheaper sort of cars that the Germans had as well. And so if you want to convert those, that's fine. But if those would have been sidetracked anyways, just because, hey, there's no fuel for them, you know, store them away somewhere. And so you might not want to count that. But I just think of all the delivery trucks around town that you could convert over to that, because it's as I explained before, it's not a very powerful engine fuel, so that you know, taking a heavy load up a side of a hill is probably going to be a bit too much for it. Tractors are going to run a bit not as well, but especially if you're running around town on most cities normally have relatively flat roads. Yes, I'm not thinking of Edinburgh, who has lots of steep hill roads running around through it, and so obviously there's exceptions to it. Sort of Heidelberg comes to mind a little bit, but a lot of it you could still load your utility truck for things to keep your civil economy going and not burn gasoline, and would drive efficiently enough. It might not get the speeds and the acceleration that you're used to, but it would be enough. And so that would obviously keep your civil economy going, and including could be as well as your armaments industry, because it could be delivering very important whether, you know, raw materials or subcomponents or whatever in and around the German state. You could be doing that, so that helps able to divert more to the military. So that's my justification for it, and I don't know that it was done in Japan. I mean, on any mass scale, and I only really I think Italy was. I don't know if they were doing natural gas, because there were some natural gas deposits in Italy, and I think they knew about them, and I think they may have converted some of their vehicles to run on natural gas. I know I've seen a few wood gas stuff in occupied France, but that's sort of Germany as it were. I just don't know. You know, I didn't make events for like Romania, Bulgaria, or Hungary, because I just don't know. I just, quite honestly, just don't know. Did they do it? Because maybe they just didn't have enough automobiles to make it worthwhile. I'm not saying did anyone do it at any one time. No, but did they do it on a scale that you could quantify? I would love if any of you, not that it's going to get in Third Reich events for 3 that we're playing now, but you know, I might be able to quickly knock up not a whole new event image, but a thing. But definitely for 4, I could see about doing that. Now I know it was not done in the United States. There was appreciably 0 of it done in the United States, because My understanding, and again this is my understanding, and someone can point out to better, harder facts, there was functionally no real gas shortage in the United States during World War II. And the gas rations were pretty generous because they did ration it. Um, they did ration the gas. My my parents collected old cars, and so from the 30s and 40s, before mostly before World War II. But so a lot of some of the older cars that they found would still have the rationing stickers in the windows and things like that. So I sort of know the different stuff about it. But that was partially to keep people from driving too much, so that they wouldn't be using up the rubber, because the rubber was an issue for the U.S. because trying to get a good supplies of rubber, that was a lot of it was cut off, because although they were developing, I actually had a relative I found out recently that was more late 19th, early 20th century, was trying to do some rubber stuff in Brazil. And they did do some rubber in Brazil and do some rubber over here, including in Tanganyika. But a lot of the rubber was coming out of this part of the world that Japan secures. So the U.S. is more worried about and trying to develop synthetic rubber. They don't care anything about synthetic gasoline. They care about synthetic rubber in the U.S. So it's mostly the tires, but it's also general trying to keep inflation down and all this sort of thing. So they do ration it, but it wasn't so much because they didn't have gasoline. So there was no real push to get wood gasifier. I think that's similarly for Canada, just because Canada more or less can get enough gasoline from the U.S. I don't know what happened in Australia. Just don't know. So those are I don't knows. If I have good facts, but I know when I know stuff, that's what it is. I just my impression. Not that they didn't have cars. Obviously, they did have cars in Netherlands and Belgium, but my impression is at this time, they just weren't that big of a thing, as in percentage of population using them. Could be wrong, but probably am. Just some of my American biases, if you will, or whatever you want to say. It's not that I think they're too stupid or something to have cars. No, it's just my understanding of their level of mechanization. Come on, I want this to get to air base. Okay. Well, now let's just forget about this, because they're going to clean that up. You just come back up here. No. Petrol rationing. Good, that will drop that down to that. Capture British supply depot in Sidi Barrani. Sidi Barrani, I thought that was out here. Well, wherever it is, it is. It's out in the desert somewhere. Uh-oh. Okay, well, I'm going to stop you. And you're going to get on board these ships here. And you're going to go invade here. No, we're not, because we don't have the range. Okay. We're going to go to here. Rebase to here. I don't want to keep waiting for this. I want to keep going to another. I was just going to have them drive to here and then go out from there, but I don't care about the sub. Got some escorts. It's just the sub. These guys might be more of a problem. More subs. Well, some of those are mine. Okay, single engine airframe research advance. Okay, that's good. Hmm. Yeah, let's do ammo capacity. Okay, Yvette and Maria. These are the two girls that work in Cafe Rene. There are two waitresses that live upstairs in the cafe. To make life livable, they share their favors with the Germans for rationed items. The two most popular games are played with wet celery and a flying helmet, other than sort of this picture of her in underwear holding wet celery and him in the flying helmet. We have no idea what that is. Or feather duster and the egg whisk. Okay, again, we don't really know what that is. They and many other French women hook up with German soldiers for extra rations and silk stockings and other perks. Okay, so Germany loses, well, you see, 8,200 supplies. We don't even have 8,200 supplies in our current pool. We lose that much. And that's not a mistake. I meant that to happen, that big of a thing. Because it's not just Yvette and Maria in the upstairs brothel above the Cafe Rene. It's all over France is what I'm looking at this. This is a one-time event, and generally I'm meaning for people have a lot more supplies at any one time, but representing over, because I'm taking sort of the historical viewpoint that this is a 41 through to 44 type time period, 3 years worth of supplies leaking out unauthorized to non-German military uses. So we lose a lot of supplies. Well, hurts us, puts us in the negative, but maybe not as bad as it could have, because we just didn't have that much of a current store of supplies. So yeah, it's expensive having French mistresses. Oh, here in the desert. Cool. Get back on board. Now go here. What? Can't it go there? Why aren't we able to go here? We're just that far out? Okay, what? Where's the range info here? Okay, range 2350. Range 1300. If it's just this, like, destroyer or something, I could dump that. 600. 600 kilometers. That's the biggest problem, I guess, is just these guys all have. All. Distance 1,000 kilometers. I'm going to get rid of this just to see if out here. If it's for some reason it's destroy any others. Oh, you're on board with me? Oh, there we go. Okay, let's see if that. No. Nope. Okay. Well, there's another way there. This way. Ah. The liners are useless for this vessel. Range 1200, 1000. They might be able to do it. No, but the Marines may be able to fit on that. I don't know. Send down. Oh, let's be useful here. We have a we had a Jaeger unit here. Oh, we did, but I thought for some reason I didn't see you on the list of divisions. Load on board. Did we ever get no. Not there yet. Next, like I say, next time we're not driving. Well, they're riding the train theoretically, but it's going to be a ship. So I don't think coming out of Aden is going to be tactically any closer. And coming down here is even further worse. That long range one might just be able to hold the Marine division. And if I need to, I'll remove the trucks from it, which will lighten it up. Its carrying capacity. Uh-oh, another tech. Okay, partisan suppression. That is most excellent, actually, of course. And now it's in 1940, so we're going to let that continue. Every time all that gets better, each unit out there produces more partisans. What are we doing here? Okay. Okay, we're down into that. That means we must have a lot of things to deploy. Ooh, motor torpedo boats, good. Semi-motorized infantry regiments. More. Well, we'll do that soon. I'll do that off camera. Okay, I think that will clean up all of what's left down here to do as they go back up north. Okay. Okay. Organization Todt. Einsatzgruppe. Binking. Now, you got to realize, Einsatzgruppe, when you're talking in the SS, those are the guys who went behind the advancing lines and other times murdering people. They were the murder squads. But Einsatzgruppe, or group, or however you pronounce that, can be many other different things, depending on the organization. It doesn't need to be of any sort of bad connotation. It can just be a special commando detachment or a work detail. The organization Todt can be used to expand the Norwegian industry, including alloy factories, power stations, and telemark, build sub-pens and fortification. OT personnel will help keep partisans in the check. Now, this is a color photograph, or so the article purported to be of laborers, uniform laborers in Norway. There again, some of it, and I don't, because I'm doing this on my channel, but we don't do this in mods, talk about forced labor or slave labor. At most, I've personally got to the position that I will talk about conscripted labor. If you can conscript soldiers and you have different conscription laws, well, you can conscript labor. Now, conscript labor can be like the RAD, and now that all the young men had to go into the RAD, and then later all the young women had to go into the RAD, can just be that, but also it can be slave labor. So if you ever see in future just an event, if I'm talking conscription labor, it can be of various types. So cost a bunch of supplies, which we don't have, but whatever. Some manpower, which we do, but don't want to lose it. Some money, some energy, some metal, because we're going to be building a bunch of things, or not. We're going to go with that. Now, no, this is the one guy that I guess for some reason I messed up his photo, so you don't see his photo, but we'll leave him here. This is organization Todt, as best I could do it for Norway. Now this will help. This is where they were based. As best I can, how do I put this? What is the size of organization Todt Oberabteilung Kirkenes? I don't know, because it wasn't a standard size, because it changed size over time as needed. So I called these militia units because these are organization Todt does have an armed element to it, and at certain levels there are Germans and collaborationists doing work, but like I say, they're armed, and then they also, as time goes on, become a bit more security guards for various levels of conscripted labor, which might just be, hey, you local Norwegians, we need some labor building some, bunkers or something like that locally here, so spend a few days shoveling some earth, then you can go back to your regular life. Yes, you can call that slave. They might even have been paid or something, but it's conscripted labor, shall we say. And some of it is, prisoners of war and other peoples that are forced to work. So, and I got this OOB from the U.S. handbook done during World War II, sort of in the last phases of World War II, or maybe slightly after World War II, by the U.S. government on organization Todt. And it goes pretty detailed. Again, don't necessarily have what any one of these strengths are, and again, I do believe they changed over time as needed. And so I have some for Italy and some for these other areas in the West. The handbook basically has almost no information on organization Todt in the East because, hey, the Americans weren't here. I mean, that's as bases as it can be. Though I do maybe have a few stuff, and there also we will, I think, be seeing some stuff from GGA too, and some of the stuff, because I know they also do an Italian thing, so we may get Italy's as well as mine, but we may not get either one of them, because if we haven't lost, organization Todt really only shows up in Italy once the German occupation happens. So now again, because we are we've annexed Norway, this isn't as helpful as it could be, in that it doesn't do partisan suppression, but it does obviously help out with port defense. We got a militia brigade. Now we can at least get rid of, these guys can go get ready to go there and down here. And basically the headquarters in Oslo also ran Denmark. And let's look at the revolt risk here. Okay, they can stay in Denmark. or in Copenhagen. Or not move, but and again we can get rid of some of these other. Well, no, these are just different occupation. And they really did have German, like I've talked before about overlapping authorities, because there really was organization Todt doing this stuff. There really was the Wehrmacht occupying the Netherlands, and there really was the SS through both SS as well as the SS controlling the police as well. I mean, it's all kinds of overlapping things. And I think the first time that I heard about the Orpo is in reading or watching a dramatization of, I think it was a dramatization of the Anne Frank diaries, and they talk about the Green Police in the Netherlands, and I'm pretty sure that's who they're referring to. So our radars are seeing this. Okay, well, picking up a little bit of stuff. No, we're not going to invade you anytime soon. We're here. Oh, good. We're here finally. And you're charging on through to there. Good. Wow. Are we down there yet? Are we there yet? No, we're not there yet. These guys might be able to strike the stuff that's getting ready to leave there, these submarines. No, didn't see them. The submarine should be sort of hard to see, I would say. Okay, Von Thelma, you drive out through the desert there. Once we get some mountain unit back up. Okay, Walther MKB-42W. In 1940, the other company joined in the development of the new type of small arm, the famous German manufacturing company Karl Walther, known for its fine and popular pistols, and of course you all know the Walther PPK, James Bond fame, which is a World War II pistol. Walther had already been engaged in development of intermediate cartridge firearms since 1936, when it produced a self-loading carbine for the experimental 7x39 cartridge. Later, Walther developed several automatic designs in full-size 7.92 by 57. That's the standard sort of Mauser cartridge. And one of these experimental prototypes, the 7.92 millimeter A115, served as a starting point for the 7.92 Kurz. Kurz is, those you don't know, is German for short. So this is the 7.92 short round, as we can sort of see the difference. Actually, the bullet is shorter, and it's a stubbier bullet. You know, it's not just the same bullet stuck in there, and it's not as elongated as the standard rifle. But this gives you a size comparison. That's the standard rifle round, used in your Mauser rifles, used in what we saw the Gewehr 41s, used in the MG34 and the MG42 machine guns. This is the shorter one that was developed earlier. Walther began to develop its own machine and carbine basically, as a private venture, but in 1941 received official approval from the Heereswaffenamt for further development in competition with the Henel, the first MKB-42W rifles being delivered to the Army. See, now, even though it's called the 42 for M and W, it was initially delivered to the Army or received support to develop this now in 41. So we can increase with some supplies that we don't really have, again, and gain a little bit more assault rifle or not. We're going to do that. I really want to get, I guess we had just barely. Well, we're almost to there, so what I'm going to do is, I'm getting sick of this. And this is something that part of, well, as you, obviously we have an overabundance of supplies being produced as it is, but we're also not losing as in don't have it anymore, but is, I don't know, delayed, shall we say, might be a good term, in the supply chain. The way this works is oh, we need supplies here, so they send them out there, and then, oh, we really don't need this many, so it sends it back. Oh, but we do need more, so instead of sending the stuff that is being sent back to the central depot, they send out more from the central depot to it. So it's just a weird sort of wash. So the supplies are really sort of there. The only time that we may truly lose them, and this is one thing that I don't know. I don't know if anyone can even dig into the math to find out in a functional way, is when we get to the all 9s across here, however many that is, and the then stuff is either manufactured, I think it's lost, or maybe it may just not be displayed, meaning the number can't display higher than all 9, so it may not be lost. I'm not sure. But I think it is lost if we're overproducing. That's sort of why when it was all 9s, I sort of went to just like 1 or 2 ICs over the needs, just because I didn't want to, because I think it's lost, so I didn't need to just destroy it. And it may also be the stuff that's coming back into the depot. If the depot, the supply pool is at its maximum, stuff coming back may just disappear as well. So, I don't know what, there's nothing we can do about this as modders. We can't touch this system. I can up and down like we just did. Why am I not seeing it there? Oh no, that was fuel, sorry. So I'm not seeing it there. TRE wood gas plus 10% there. So that's that. Because I'm looking in the wrong places, why I'm not seeing it there. Of course. So we can do those kind of things, and all the various stuff below the situation there, but we can't mess with how that system works. So that's just some of our limitations. And it gets worse once we start invading the Soviet Union. Oh, good. We're attacking some submarines. Real good. Well, let's load up our parachutists. The 7th Flieger Division, I'm sure, can get from here to Socotra. There is a garrison unit there. I'm not sure that it can take it, but I think it would. But I just quite honestly want to see if I can load my Marine unit to just one large long-range auxiliary vessel, and would that make it? Because I want to go from like here, or from like here to here. Well, that's obviously very close, but from here out to here, and some of these other invasion routes, and I don't want to always have to rely upon risky. Okay, you're not going to move, but you're going to support that attack. I don't want everything to always be a risky airborne invasion. Because yes, the biggest risk I have for like going out there is if the ships get sunk and the troops are lost. But if it's just normally it just, oops, you lost the battle, and you go home, you're damaged. I'm sort of hoping, especially once the supplies are flowing and you've got air power and other things, that times will at least hold their own here, and it looks like they are. Lose a province here, gains provinces in other places, but that's good. We got Khartoum. Okay, gun ability 4-inch. 1 airplane base. Okay, well that's all 1940s, that's good. I mean, mostly just the flying boats and the naval bombers in some cases here. And I'm sort of mostly worried about. No, this episode's gone too long. Okay, well we're going to end the episode here. I'll figure out, well I guess we've gone down to high popularity, so we won't do that. Okay. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. I do appreciate that if you could. Please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, corrections, anything I may get wrong. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.